It's here, the new Natasha Denona. I need to... Oh, wait a second. This isn't the right palette. This is the Beaute palette. What's wrong with me? Okay, I have the right palette now, definitely. So today we're going to be playing with this new palette from Natasha Denona. So if you guys want to see two looks. Oh, this one isn't it either. Oh my goodness. Gracious me. Okay, I think I have the right one. Here it is. It's the I Need a Warm palette from Natasha Denona. So if you want to see me create two looks, here are my first-ish impression thoughts on this palette, then just keep watching. If this is your first time here on my channel, welcome. My name is KARENHARRIS. I like to film tan girl friendly makeup videos here on YouTube. I love eyeshadow palettes and I love to talk about them here on YouTube. So if you like eyeshadow palettes and if you like blush, this is definitely the place for you. Highly recommend subscribing, turning on that bell so you're notified every time I post. And without further blabbering, let's get into it. I don't know, guys. I feel like I'm being punked. And I will say I probably didn't need this palette, but I wanted it because I wanted to review it for you guys. Obviously, I wanted to have it for my collection. And I feel like I was able to justify it because I had accumulated some points on my Natasha Denona account. So I got like 30 bucks off this palette. So I think I paid about 40 bucks. And I was pretty happy about that. So I felt like I got myself a little deal. And I was like, let me just grab it. It did look like it had some depth to it in the pictures. So I was a little bit surprised when I saw it in person because I feel like it's a very mid-tone palette with a few dark shades. Now, I personally think different shades look different on different skin tones and depending on your undertones as well. They can look very different. For somebody with a lighter complexion, this could look like it has a ton of depth. But from my medium tan complexion, I feel like this is very mid-tone on me. So I'm very curious to see how these dark shades look on my eyes. I did do swatches and close-ups, so let's go ahead and get into that really quick in case you wanted to see this palette up close. Introducing the I Need a Warm eyeshadow palette, the ultimate neutral warm rendition of Natasha's top seller, I Need a Nude eyeshadow palette. Featuring a versatile combination of true must-have neutral warm nudes, this essential 15-pan midi palette debuts two brand new innovative formulas, Slip Cream Mattes and Metal Gloss, including a special Trio Chrome eyeshadow edition. The warm tone nude palette features 6 mattes, 2 metallics, 1 multi-chrome, 2 sparkling foiled, and 1 duochrome finish, complemented by 1 brand new ultra smooth Slip Cream Matte and 2 high foiled Metal Gloss formulas. Natasha's world-renowned eyeshadows blend effortlessly with one stroke payoff for a vibrant, flawless finish and user-friendly application. Shade descriptions: Pep, Matte Deep Warm Brown, Homey Metal Gloss Warm Nude, Hanker Metallic Medium Dark Golden Brown, Dynamicism Duochrome Medium Brown with Green Specks, Flashover Slip Cream Matte Medium Clay Brown, Elm Sparkling Foiled Light Bronzy Nude, Snug Metal Gloss Soft Bronze, Whim Matte Deep Warm Brown, Push Sparkling Foiled Medium Rusty Rose Gold, Fervor Matte Medium Warm Caramel, Soft Matte Medium Earthy Brown, Fancy Metallic Champagne, Mellow Matte Light Peachy Nude, Phenomenon Multichrome Peach Pink Green, Ripe Matte Light Medium Peach Brown. Okay, so now that you've seen the close-ups and the swatches, I'm definitely going to go ahead and do two different eye looks. I usually prefer to do both eyes the same, but I'm a little short on time. It is 9:14 p.m., so as per usual, we're filming late at night. The kids are in bed, and my husband is at work. He had to go in, so I have the house to myself, and yeah, that's what we're going to do. So the one thing I will say is I felt like a lot of these shades were really repetitive. When I was doing swatches, I was like, oh my gosh, like we could have done a deeper brown here, Natasha. I feel like there was room for it. So that's one of my criticisms. I don't think the palette goes dark enough. And the other thing that I have to say, it's not a criticism, But I feel like this is what's trendy right now, is these like very minimal eye looks, because everybody's focused on like no makeup and focusing on blushes. So I kind of understand this palette, even though it's not really my cup of tea. I can see this palette being really popular because I think it makes sense for the times that we're living in. So I get it, I get it. I will also compare it to my other Natasha Denona neutral palettes, but I feel like I've gone on long enough, so let's go ahead and put this on my eyes. Okay, so let's do just like a quick and easy everyday look, like if I was going to take my daughter to dance class. So I'd probably start off with the shade like Pep, and I'll put it kind of all over the crease and focus it a little bit on the outer corner since it's a darker shade, and just kind of blend it into my crease and keep it on the outer corner as well. Okay, this shade is a little bit deeper than I thought, so maybe this will be the more glam eye, because I was gonna do something like really light and minimal, like something I would wear to like family photos. And I don't know that I would necessarily do such a dark crease, although I don't think it really matters. Okay, then I'm gonna go into Fervor. I am really excited about her formula in this palette because it's a new formula, and I felt like the eyeshadows felt really amazing when I was swatching them, so I do have a lot of hope in that sense. So I'm just taking that lighter brown and just kind of blending it all over and putting a little bit on the eyelid as well. Of course, I have to try the multi-chrome, so we're gonna put the shade Phenomenon all over the lid. Okay, so it picked up really nicely on this flat brush from Sigma, and as always, I'm gonna give it a nice spray, and we're just gonna put that on the lid. I wanna see how it foils. Okay, Natasha, yummy. It's one of those really pretty like bronzy shades that's a multi-chrome, and it shifts like green with a touch of orange and yellow and green. So yeah, one of those like dirty bronzy shades that is super pretty, and it is actually shifting. It's not just like a duochrome shade. So, and then I'm just gonna go back into Pep and just plop a little bit of that on the outer corner. I feel like this is still a very simple look. It's not as colorful as I usually do, but I think it's still pretty cute. So before I do the lower lash line, I'm going to start on this eye as well. This one we're going to keep really light, really sheer, and very like everyday dance mom look. Okay, so seriously, I feel so silly doing such a simple look, but this is something I feel like I would actually do if I was taking my kid to dance class or I was going to like a future PTA meeting. So I'm going to start off with this shade Whim, which is just like a great mid-tone chocolatey brown shade. And I'm just going to take this big Sigma brush and I'm just going to blend that all over my crease and my lid. This is just like a quick and easy eye look that anyone can do, and it doesn't take too much effort, but you still look very put together. I mean, what am I going to do with this palette? Literally everybody has already reviewed it, so I'm just playing with it honestly for myself and to test it out and see what I think, and also just like show you guys what it looks on a different skin tone. I think this would be a really pretty palette if you're like a makeup artist, because it's great for creating those like soft looks. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of this soft spot and I'm just going to go over the shade Whim and just like lighten it up even more. Please let me know your Labor Day weekend plans in the comments. I'm so curious what you guys are up to. Now that my in-laws are gone, it feels like the house is ours again. So that's been lovely. We've just been adjusting to that. Okay, so now what I would do if I was just going out running errands and things like that, I would just pick any of these lighter eyeshadow colors and just slap that all over my eyelids. So I'll probably go in with the shade Snug. It does look like it has a base color to it, so it doesn't look like I'm just putting on sheer sparkles all over the lid. So let's see if this one foils as well as Phenomenon did, but I'm curious. So yeah, super light and just like sparkly. And I could technically add like a deeper shade on the outer corner. I don't think I'm going to. I also want to try this shade called Elm. Is that what it is? I think so. ELM. I want to see if that adds any sparkle. It's just like a lighter champagne shade, so I'm just making sure I'm completely coating my eyelid. But yeah, this is like an everyday eye look for me. Maybe it's like very sophisticated looking. I don't know if it is. I'm just assuming. And to you, it might look a little scary, but for me, this is like a very easy everyday 2 shadow look that I could do and literally run out the door. So let me go ahead and line my waterline quick so that I can finish up these 2 eye looks. I saw that Melt is doing a Labor Day sale. I've just been like loving this particular eyeliner shade from them. This is Rich Brown, and it's like a perfect, beautiful reddish brown for your waterline. I've been really into this little Fantasy Cosmetica blending brush. It's so good for the lower lash line because it gives a nice fluffy blend and it makes it look a little bit less put together, but it's also a nice big one, so it really fluffs up the lower lash line. So I'm just going in with the shade Pep on this eye, and I'm going to take the shade Fervor, and I'm just going to do the inner corner with it. Making weird faces, don't mind me. And then on this side, I'm just going to take Soft Spot, which is the first shade, the first matte shade in the palette. When I did the swatches, it literally looked like there was no swatch there. When I was looking at my arm, I'm like, where's that swatch? It's like a really pretty light brown, so I'm just going to run that on the lower lash line. Trying not to make it look like I have a black eye. But there we go. Just kind of blend up and down a little bit. Okay, so the lower lash line is done on both sides. Now I'm going to grab this teeny tiny pencil brush from Game Beauty. On this side, I'm going to go into the shade Fancy. And I would like to plop this into the inner corner just to give it a little pop. This is a light kind of pinky leaning champagne color. So yeah, I'm just going to add that there. Hopefully it's highlighting my eye. And then on this side, I think I'm going to go into the shade Snug. Give it a nice spray. And I'm just going to put that right here and just blend. Okay, also the eye looks are done. I'm just going to throw on some blush and mascara. Finish up these looks. Oh, also some highlighter. And I'll be right back to give you guys my first-ish impressions on this palette. So here are the 2 looks, and I think they look really cute. Let's go ahead and talk about what else is on my face today in case you want to recreate this makeup. So I pulled out some of my favorites. I grabbed the Hourglass foundation. Haven't used this one in a while, so I thought it would be fun to pull this one out and use it. As always, I have my handy dandy one size powder with me. I'm wearing another favorite. This is the Tower 28 concealer. For my cream bronzer today, I'm wearing the Tarte Contour in the shade. This is Warm Bronze. I have on the NARS Explicit lipstick in the shade Body Heat. My blush today is from Kulfi. I filmed a little reel trying this out because they actually sent this to me. It's the shade Sandalwood Swirls. And my highlighter is Yum Rum from Fenty, one of my all-time favorite highlighters. So yeah, that is everything that I used on my face today. Now let's go ahead and compare the I Need a Warm palette with some of my existing Natasha Denona palettes. Okay, so I feel a little bit nutty like holding these up because they do look quite similar. Obviously they're not the same. There are slight differences, and this palette, the I Need a Warm palette, does have a new formula according to Natasha, but let's go ahead and hold it up next to I Need a Nude palette. I will say these are so pretty. I mean, they're just not like indie palettes. They're very like subtle but impactful and beautiful, and they just like work so well on the eyeballs. But you know, some might argue that these are slightly boring palettes, but I do love having them in my collection, and seeing them next to each other is making me want to do more looks with the I Need a Nude palette. I feel like the Beaute palette had a bit of renaissance because with TikTok it seems like things of the past do get a chance to like resurrect themselves. But I remember wanting the Beaute palette so bad. I think I finally got it with a 100-point like Rouge reward. So I definitely got it with a discount because I just couldn't justify the price of it. And usually I don't really like think too much about how much I'm paying for a palette, but I feel like I got a deal on that one. Okay, this is the Golden palette. Another new release from Natasha. Actually, I think this was her last palette. So, I mean, I get the criticism. I hear you when people are like, what's going on? I guess this is what sells. I mean, I'm not a brand owner, but that's the vibe I'm getting. Also, I don't get a lot of comments just in general, but I feel like there is an overwhelming amount of comments from people saying like, how come like Pat McGrath gets more criticism than Natasha? I just feel personally more let down by Pat because I feel like the original Mothership palettes were just so iconic that it's really hard to let go of that iconicness. But this is the Bronze palette from Natasha. It was one of my favorite midi-size palettes for a long time, so I wanted to show you that one. And then this one looks nothing like the I Need a Warm palette, but of course I have to compare it to the Glam palette because so many people love this cool tone neutral palette. So yeah, these are like distant cousins, but there they are. So that is just like a side-by-side comparison. I'm not going to sit there and like swatch every shade or anything like that. But let me go ahead and give you guys my first-ish impression thoughts on this palette. As a lover of indie makeup, which I'm guessing most of you are as well, this palette is a snooze fest. But to be very frank, there are some everyday occasions that I do wear a more neutral eye look for. I like to say that I am pretty bold and daring. Like most of the time I don't give a F about what is on my eyes. I have literally gone out in public with 2 different eye looks on. I really don't care. But sometimes when I don't want to completely embarrass my children, I will do a more subtle eye look. And I definitely go for looks like this too. Or just the other day we did family photos. Sometimes I do colorful eye looks depending on, but I was wearing pink. The whole family was wearing pink. So I wanted to do a more subtle eye look because I wanted like my outfit to pop. So there are occasions where I will reach for a neutral palette. And this is a gorgeous neutral palette. I think this is going to do so well at Sephora because I would rather people buy a Natasha Denona palette than a really dry like Urban Decay palette or a Too Faced Chocolate Soleil Swirl with a cherry on top palette. So I feel like I would rather people get Natasha Denona because I think the quality is great and it's just so innovative and the formulas are beautiful. So I get it. I get it. I get why these palettes exist. I do still feel like a clown because there are indie palettes that I would reach for over this even if I was doing neutrals. First one that comes to mind is the Neutrals palette from Cosmic Brushes. So I was going to compare this to that palette, but it's not even close. This one is just so subtle. Yes, it has a multi-chrome in it, but it's not the same. So I decided to spare Cosmic Brushes the horror of being compared to Natasha Denona, but it is a nice palette. I feel conflicted because I just feel like it's a nice palette, but knowing that the world of indie eyeshadows exists out there, it does make it hard to be like, oh yeah, totally just get this, forget everybody else exists. I can't do that, but luckily we live in a world where 2 things can be true at the same time, and so I think this palette's cute. I'm not mad that I have it. I really love that I didn't pay full price for it, so there is that. I do have a Natasha Denona code. It's just KHMAKEUP. I believe it's a one-time use code, so if you guys haven't used my code to shop yet, please feel free to do so. I do make a small commission if you do that. And also it makes me look really good to Natasha Denona, which I don't really hate. You know what I mean? It's like the boss is getting like a positive review. Anyways, I'm getting a little delusional, so I better hop off this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, brilliant insights. I always love hearing from y'all. If there's anything that I can help answer with this palette, I would love to, in case you guys are trying to decide if you want to part with your coin or hold on to it, save it for something else. I'm always happy to help you guys out. So thank you so much for watching this video. It's probably the 985th Natasha Denona video you've seen this week, but thank you. I appreciate your view, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week. Bye for now. Oh, also, I have the new Adept palette, and Unearthly is sending me their Gargoyle palette. So definitely make sure you're subscribed if you aren't already, and make sure you're checking back on my channel because I have 2 launches that are pretty new. Well, one hasn't even been shown yet, so I will definitely be posting videos with those. Okay, I'm definitely done now. Okay, bye!